caution that will take place 30 laps into this. So they were able to put fuel in the trucks, but they cannot put fuel in the trucks from the time they start until that 30-lap competition caution.
And they won't need to. These trucks can run anywhere from 52 to 57 laps, so they will not need to put fuel in. They're full right now. They're going to run probably around 30 laps, as you mentioned. Then the guys will be able to do tires and fuel. But again, with our new pit rules this year, not at the same time. We saw some great pit strategy by Brian Eichler and Doug George that got them up to second position, so it'll be interesting to see what happens 30 laps into this race.
Well, again, 52 laps were complete. We're on lap 53. On the top of your screen, you're going to see the current running order. And again, as we mentioned, Mike Skinner is out in front of this field. Young Brian Eichler, the 23-year-old, is currently running second. Let's go down to the garage and Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, I'm not sure in all my years of racing I've ever seen something happen quite like this, where we had this long of a red flag, and then NASCAR came along and said you can add fuel. And, Phil, you were talking about the fact that just before we got the rain the other day, we had a lot of pit stops. And those guys made decisions on those pit stops that they thought would go all the way to 167 laps. Well, that gets wiped out now. Every truck on this grid's been allowed to fill up. So, basically, we've got a brand-new race starting right now, going all the way to lap 167. Now let's check in with Adam Alexander.
And it may be very difficult for these teams to know exactly what they have when we go green. The reason why, conditions now much different than they were here 48 hours ago. The temperature anywhere from 20 to 25 degrees cooler than it was on Saturday afternoon. That coupled with the fact that the IRL ran 200 laps here yesterday. And, of course, we've had rain that will green up this racetrack. A lot of major question marks for these teams as we get set to go racing and complete this event nearly 48 hours after it began. Guys?
Thank you, Adam and Ray. Stay warm down there as the temperature continues to drop. The track will heat up and the action will heat up on the racetrack. The trucks taking back to the mile-and-a-half racetrack at Kansas Speedway for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 250, presented on speed by World of Warcraft. Sideways, forwards, backwards. How will you catch up to Mike Skinner? Welcome back to Kansas Speedway. A great sight. The trucks are on the racetrack moving around. Everyone following the 5 of Mike Skinner. Let's take a look at our Z-Max track description of this mile-and-a-half racetrack.
As you can see, mile-and-a-half, 15-degree banking in the corners, 10 degrees on the front stretch, fairly flat, 5 degrees on the back stretch. The key to this racetrack is it's matured over the years. I think this racetrack opened in 2001. Multiple racing grooves here. Again, green racetrack because of all the rain we've had, but it won't take a matter of just a few moments, I think, before this groove will widen out and we'll see some great side-by-side action.
We did see some of that on Saturday in the first 52 laps of this race. Again, it's a 167-lap race as we look at our World of Warcraft race analysis.
And like Ray said, it's really a 115-lap race now. Right. Everyone's starting from scratch. Everybody full of fuel. When we got the trucks on the racetrack, we had 115 laps to go, so essentially it's a 115-lap race.
And when we look at the pit window, on the outside we see the number 57. You could make it on one stop from this point.
But we know we're going to stop in 30 laps, so that's the key. That's going to throw that out of the window. As you can see, Todd Bodine and his guys, as Ray was talking about, all the work that they're going to have to do to this truck.
On lap number 10, Todd Bodine was on the inside of Timothy Peter, and the problems, well, resulted after that. Let's take a look.
Very early in the race, Todd was on the inside of Timothy Peters, just like we saw Ricky Carmichael very early in the race. On the inside, these trucks lose a lot of downforce. There he is right there. You could hear him get out of the throttle because he got loose. He saved it twice, and then right there it gets away from him, and he noses into the outside wall.
All that damage, they go behind the wall, they cut off the front end.
It's a great-looking truck, though, isn't it? That Ventrilo, new sponsor, great to have them on board. They're on board, I think, for 3 races with Germain Racing and keeping this 30 on the racetrack. We've documented his troubles this year, sponsorship woes, and fortunately they've been able to keep on the racetrack. And actually, when they took the green flag, was technically our point leader.
Right. Here we're seeing a live shot of the crew working on the truck right now. Earlier today, when it was on the grid, Ray Dunlap took a look at this truck and gave us a tech tip. Let's look back.
Okay, so the plan for Todd Bodine and his team from the 30 truck is to get out and get as many laps as possible. But he at first is going to find out if his truck is able to keep minimum speed. And once he does, there's a lot of work for the team to do. Now, here's the thing. They want this tire to be cambered a little bit more. So right here where the upper A-frame is, they're going to try to move that in a little bit to gain some camber here. But look, there's a problem over here. See how close the upper A-frame is already to the header. So there's not a lot of space there. Why do they need to gain that camber? Well, check at the lower A-frame. See how much bend there was to this? There was a pretty serious impact to this number 30 truck, and you'll notice they've cut away all the pieces to get the nose off of this truck. If they are able to keep minimum speed, they may come back into the garage and put a complete new hood and nose piece on this thing to try to give Todd a little better aerodynamics.
And again, that was moments ago that Ray was reporting on that and what they were working on. They did come onto pit road. You see Gabby DiCarlo also on pit road as you see Todd Bodine pulling off of the pit road and back onto the racetrack. And again, he wants to see if he can make minimum speed with the truck the way it is now. Now, he will have absolutely no downforce on the front of that truck.
Yeah, right now Todd is 39 or 40 laps down, so he knows that he's not going to be able to make any ground up other than through attrition. So if he can make minimum speed, then he won't spend all the laps behind the wall putting that new front end on.
A lot of camber on the left front, but not so much on the right front of that race truck. We're getting ready for the green flag. Stay with us here on Speed. Welcome back. O'Reilly Auto Parts 250 presented on Speed by World of Warcraft. Kansas Speedway is the site of this race. NASCAR Sprint All-Star Race, Saturday night, May 16th. It's the most spectacular all-star event in all of sports for an unbelievable low price. Tickets start at just $25. Call 1-800-455-FANS, or you can buy online at LowesMotorspeedway.com.
You know, I think that's always been a great event. But when they put that thing at night, when they put lights up and they started running that race at night, and it's on Speed Line, what a huge weekend that is. Not only just that event,
right,
but so much going on that entire weekend. We'll be there the night before for the Camping World Truck Series.
That's right. There's actually a free concert. OAR will be playing, I think, on Wednesday night. So a big week in the Charlotte area, going in conjunction with the All-Star Race under the lights at Lowe's Motors Speedway. Let's head back trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, most of the crew guys here in the garage area have been here in Kansas since last Thursday, but a lot of them weren't able to stay, and I want to introduce you to one guy. This is Chris Brook right here. You notice this? He's ready to go, right? Not normally on the pit crew, though. He is the pit crew coach for this team, Roush Racing and the Conway team. But Brian Carr, the normal gas man for this team, had to fly back to Charlotte because his wife is having a baby today or tomorrow, and he didn't want to miss it. So Chris is going to go into action, and up and down pit road today, we'll give you pictures of a lot of people that are here doing assorted jobs that they may not do every week. Adam?
And, of course, you have to have a crew if you're going to be successful in NASCAR. Kyle Busch, the point leader entering, has lost the point lead because he didn't start this race. He was racing in Talladega over the weekend. Brian Eichler making his first start this weekend, and he's got the help of some interesting pit crew guys. David Smith-Tilley and Kyle Petty changing and carrying tires yesterday for Brad Keselowski in that Mikosuke vehicle that went to victory lane at Talladega. They're hoping to bring a little magic to Eichler in his first truck start this weekend, and he's running second as we get set for the green flag here in Kansas.
There's Brian Eichler, that 23-year-old from San Diego, California. Brian just won a NASCAR Camping World East race at Greenville Pickens earlier this month. So the field continues to roll around the racetrack. The lights are still on the pace truck, so we're not going green just yet. But I tell you what a great sight to see. A few people decided they would stick it out on Monday and come back out and watch the Camping World Truck Series race at Kansas Speedway. They always put on a great show, and we're going to be here till the end.